Okay, sorry about the last one. That last recording, I figured it would be easier to get all of this in one recording, so starting it over. Okay, we have two things going on right here. We have to figure out what the cosine of theta or what theta is in order to do it, and then we have to do the half angle formula with that. So we need to make a triangle, and then we need to figure out what quadrant we're in. So starting with this piece of information that we have the cosecant of, that's supposed to be a highlighter. Let's try again. All right, so if we have the cosecant of theta equals 4, and theta is in between negative 3 pi over 2 and negative pi. So if the cosecant is 4, that means our sine of theta is 1/4. So we know that sine is positive, but we also know we're in between negative 3 pi over 2. So if we're going negative, we're going down like clockwise on the unit circle, negative pi over 2, 2 pi. Here's negative 3 pi over 2 right here, and negative pi is right here. And if your sine is 1/4, it's positive. Obviously, we're in the second quadrant, opposite over hypotenuse. We need to find our third side. So 16 minus 1 is 15. So this is negative square root of 15 because your x is going to be negative in the second quadrant. So negative square root of 15. So this is going to be our angle theta, right? This is theta. And we're trying to do the half angle. So with the half angle formula, we have to multiply all of our restrictions by a half to figure out what quadrant our half angle is in to see if we're going to be doing the plus or the minus. These numbers that are in this right here are going to go in for your theta. So our half angle formula is cosine of theta over 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine theta over 2. So that's your cosine theta over 2 formula. So theta, so this right here where it's asking for the cosine of theta is going to come from the triangle that we just did. The plus or minus is going to be determined by what quadrant the half angle is in. So when we do the half angle, when we do the plus or minus for that, it doesn't matter what quadrant it's in when we're plugging in our numbers for the theta. It's only going to determine the plus or minus. So if I want to know our theta over 2, I'm going to do 1/2 times negative 3 pi over 2 is less than 1/2 times theta, which is less than 1/2 times negative pi. So I multiply everything by a half. So I get negative 3 pi over 4 is less than theta over 2, which is less than negative pi over 2. If I put that in a triangle, this is negative pi over 2. This is negative 3 pi over, oops, no, that's not negative 3 pi over 4. This is negative 3 pi over 4 right here. So we're in between, this is negative 3 pi over 4. So our half angle is somewhere in here, which means our sine is going to be negative and our cosine is going to be negative. So if we're looking at cosine of the half angle, we're going to use, the highlighter again. We're going to use the negative, not the positive square root. So the quadrant that your half angle is in, based on the restrictions, is the quadrant that's going to tell you the plus or the minus. Since we're in the third quadrant, cosine is going to be negative. The quadrant that your regular angle is in is going to tell you what you plug in for the theta. So this is my regular angle right here, so I'm plugging in for cosine negative root 15 over 4. And the half angle is just going to tell you what quadrant, or if you're going to have a positive or a negative. So we will talk more about that in class, but that's kind of the gist of what it's going to be. So this is going to be negative square root of 1 plus the cosine of theta, so negative root 15 over 4 all over 2. So again, like I did on the last one, I want to multiply by the common denominator. Our common denominator here is going to be 4 to clear everything up. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 4 so that I can get rid of this fraction in here. So I have negative square root 4 minus root 15 over 8. Okay, that minus because plus negative is minus. Now, I have to rationalize the denominator. There are two ways you can rationalize it. I'm only going to show you the way that I want you to do because the chances of making a mistake are less if you do it this way. So if you want to figure out another way or do it another way, you can come and ask me. But the way I'm always going to do it in these, because it gets really confusing with these radicals inside of a radical, you're going to look at the denominator. So our denominator is 8, right? And we need it to be a perfect square. So what do I need to multiply 8 by to make it a perfect square on the bottom? Well, you need to multiply it by 2, right? Because 16 is a perfect square. So if I multiply this by 2 over 2, so again, I'm inside the root still. Notice I'm still inside the square root. I'm multiplying inside the square root by 2 over 2. That gives me negative square root of 8 minus 2 root 15 all over 16. Now I can split it. Negative square root of 8 minus 2 root 15 all over the square root of 16, which is negative square root of 8 minus 2 root 15 all over 4. And this is your simplified, rationalized answer for that problem. Okay, so I'm saving. We still have, this is one more page. We still have one more page to do. We're going to do that in class on Monday and Tuesday and go over another example of how to do these and kind of work through it, talk through it. But I do want you to have this stuff filled in and ready to work on an assignment in class, so make sure you bring your books. All right, have a good day. Bye.